So welcome back. So hopefully you're able to get XAMPP and DBeaver up and running. And if you're in my class, of course you'll post to Piazza. Let us know if you're having any issues. So let's take a look at actually how to make use of DBeaver to manipulate the database and to interact. Right. So there's a bunch of things. Let's see. So it did not connect there for some. Oh yes, didn't connect because I had shut down MySQL. Right. That's good to see. All right, so anyways, let me come back over here, make sure MySQL is running, which it is now. And now I should be able to spin this open. There we are, right? And of course it shows the databases and so forth. All right. So the particular database system, for instance, MariaDB, basically allows us to have multiple databases in that particular system, right? And you already saw this. We saw that there's already a number of databases here. I'm just going to create a new one for us to play with, right? So I'm just right-clicking on databases here. I'm going to go to Create New Database, and I'm just going to call it the first database. Right, so there it is. There's my first database. You can see that, in fact, there are no tables, etc. So a bunch of different ways that I can now make use of this. Okay, so one is let's see if I remember right. So if I right-click here, yeah, I'm going to go to SQL Editor. Okay, and there it is, right? So this allows me to type arbitrary SQL or SQL statements. All right, so let's take a look at that. For instance, let's say show databases, semicolon, and then I can do Control and Enter, and you'll notice that that there are the list of all of the databases, right? So all those databases that we saw, that we see here graphically, we can also see in this list of databases, right? Pretty cool. All right, then we can make use of that, as we can tell MariaDB that we're going to be using a particular database by using the use statement. So we're just going to say use, and I'll say first and put a semicolon. Again, I'm going to hit Control Enter, and there we are. Okay, so now any of the stuff that I'm typing and so forth is going to be manipulating that particular this particular database, namely the first database. All right. Now, while systems like DBeaver and various other database management systems typically have graphical user interfaces that allow you to graphically create tables and so forth. I mean, for instance, I could come over here. Notice I could say create a new table and all that. It is incredibly important that you understand how to actually do that from something like SQL itself, right? And there's a couple of different reasons. Sometimes, when things don't work, you have to ask yourself the question of, is it and so forth, right? So knowing how to do it by hand can kind of help you debug some of those things. Additionally, when you're programming and interacting with a database, a lot of systems, even if they don't at their very face require you to type out SQL, do still allow you to drop down into direct SQL for manipulation of the database. Okay, and again, it's this issue of having the ultimate control over stuff. Okay, so certainly as we go on, we will use some of the graphical tools and all that, but I do want you to begin to get a sense of the SQL itself and how to make use of it and so forth. That's a big part of what this class is. Right? So our first step is we need to create a table. Okay, and so I'm going to create a table. Say create, and table. And I'm going to create a table for sort of keeping track of my parrots. I have actually several parrots at home, and so I'll just create a table for kind of keeping track of information about them, right? So I'll say, there we go, create table parrots, and then we'll have our parens. And, of course, the whole statement's going to have to end with a semicolon, right? And then in here, we're basically going to specify out our the various fields, okay? So each parrot has a name. And so the type of data that's going to store is basically character data, string data. And so the way that we can do that in SQL is to use a varchar, right? So it's a variable length string that can be, in this case, up to 15 characters. Okay, and then maybe I'll have a field for species, and again I'll say that is a varchar. Oops, sorry. So we'll say that, yes. Okay, so we'll say that is a varchar. And I'll say that that one can have up to 20 characters. Now, a couple of things about spacing, about capitalization, about all those things. Also age int. SQL is one of the more forgiving languages. It actually doesn't really care about the capitalization and all those things. So I could have done varchar all in lowercase and int and so forth. I could have done create and table as uppercase and all those. I could have, and again, even the white space doesn't matter so much. I could have actually kind of done this whole thing on one big line, like so. You know, we could certainly make that happen as well. You know, I think it's a little harder to read, especially as well. So yes, kind of splitting this out across multiple lines is a little nicer, right? So there it is. Again, I'm going to do Control-Enter. Okay, and so we come down here, it says, yeah, it did this thing, there's when it finished and so forth. Notice it doesn't seem like it actually did anything, but we can certainly, we can do a couple of things, right? So there's a refresh, right? So notice I do a refresh, and here's the parrots table. Right? So it did actually create my table, and if I double click on this, I can actually get a view of the table itself, right? So it says, yeah, here are the various columns, right? I have the name column, it's varchar 15. I have the species column, it's varchar 20. I have the age column, it's an int, right? I can look at what data is in there, and it turns out there isn't actually any data, so there's that. Also, I can get kind of a diagram view of that as well, right? So there's the parrots table, and there are the various fields, right? So pretty cool. We can kind of verify all this and so forth. Okay. So then the question comes, how do we actually insert data into our database, right? Again, I could do this with I could actually do this using the IDE, but again, we need to make sure that that you're able to do it using the raw SQL. Okay, so if you've read Chapter 1, you should have seen already that we're going to use the insert statement. And so we can say insert into, and the parrots table is where we are inserting into. And so there's a couple of different syntaxes for doing this, right? So one is I could actually list out exactly the fields that we're interested in for doing this insertion. So I could say, oh, okay, we're going to do name, species, and age. Like so, and then I'm going to say values. Okay, and values basically lets me specify what particular values I'm going to actually store. So, for instance, I'll say Penelope is the name of my blue crown conure. And she is, in fact, 21. Okay, so a couple of things about this, right? The varchar, the string type data, is in fact included inside of single quotes. Okay, so SQL uses single quotes to denote those strings. Notice, however, that 21, which is just an integer, a number, is not inside quotes. Okay, so having done that, I'll do our usual Control Enter, and let's see, it died a horrible death. Why? I probably have something. Insert integers. See, unknown. Oh, yes, right. Unknown column names, plural, because it's actually name, right? That's the issue there. Okay, good. All right. So again, Control Enter. Notice it says that one row was updated. Okay. Again, I can come back over to here. Let me. Let's see. Let's do our refresh. And if I double click on that, go over to data. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Try it again. Refresh. We should be able to see this. Wonder if I have to close that. Ah, there it is. Yes. So there's Penelope, who's the blue crown, and who is 21. Right. So it does in fact insert that into the database for us. Okay. Let's look at a couple of other ways of syntax regarding this, right? So, for instance, you can specify the list here, that is the list of fields, in whatever order you want. Okay, so let me give you an example. So, for instance, suppose I take this and I'm going to paste this in down here. And let's say for whatever reason, I actually want to specify the age first. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to tell SQL that I'm going to do the insertion. Here are the particular fields that I'm giving values for. The first one's going to be age, the second one's the name, and then the third one is the species. Okay, and then again, we'll use our values. Okay, so this time, let's see, how about we'll talk about my 3-year-old, whose name is Cheeky, and he is a pineapple green cheek conure. Yes, actually. All right, and once again, I'll do Control and Enter, and yes, the species name is too long. Let's see. Yes, because I only allowed that to be the 20 characters, so let's try this. There we go. That one's actually short enough. Okay, so he's a green cheek conure, and again, I should be able to kind of refresh this, etc. Let's see, can I hit F5 here? Oh, I do. Yes, so if you hit F5 with this open, notice it actually shows us that. Okay, so we can see that, we can specify, we can change or insert the data in kind of whatever order we want, right? That is, I can choose the particular order for the fields and so forth. Now, a couple of other things about this. If you're going to follow the order of the fields that they are listed in when the table is created, you can leave out the list of fields altogether. Okay, so for instance, I could do something like the following. Insert into parrots, and this time, no list of fields. We'll just go directly to values, right? And then here, I could talk about radar. And radar is an African gray parrot, and he is also 21, right? And of course, put our semicolon, Control, and Enter, right? Notice it tells us that, yes, the rows have been updated. Let's see, come over to here, and yes, radar, in fact, was inserted as well, okay? So it's a little shorthand for being able to insert the data into the database. All right, let me show you one more little thing that we can do with this. So suppose that you didn't have all of the fields. Suppose, for instance, so here's an example. I would really love at some point in my life to acquire an umbrella cockatoo. They're really awesome birds, except for the fact that well, they kind of need a lot of attention, and so if you're not home all day, that's a problem. But anyways, so if I just want to insert a parrot in there, and all I want to specify is the species, because I don't have it yet. I don't have the it doesn't have a name. It doesn't have an age for me because I don't have such a parrot. But I do kind of want to note that you know what, I would like one at some time. So notice I'll say insert into parrots. I'll list only the field that I'm interested in specifying, and then we'll just give that a value. So umbrella cockatoo. Okay, again, put our semicolon, control and enter. There we go. And again, come back here, hit F5, and notice, so we have an umbrella cockatoo for the species. The name is the special value null, and the age is also the special value null. Okay, and again, the book kind of talks a little bit about that. All right, let me show you one more thing. So far, to test out whether this stuff is working, I've been kind of cheating. I've been relying on the fact that I can use the DBeaver's graphical features to show me basically what's in the database. Okay, but from SQL, the way that I would actually do that is to use a select statement. Okay, now select statements can be very, very complex. There's lots of stuff there. We're gonna spend a whole lot of time talking about different ways of using select and everything. But I'm gonna show you the easiest one right now. Okay, and the easiest one right now is just the hey, show me everything that's in this particular table. Okay, and it looks like this. So it is select. And then we say star because I want all of the fields. And then I'm going to say from and give the name of the table, right? So select everything from parrots. Again, control enter, and there it is, right? There's the actual result that I get back, showing me all of the records in that database. Okay? So hopefully you can follow along with this, and you'll have an assignment to allow you to play around with it.